ABC 10 News at 5 starts right now.
After a slow rollout, California is setting a date for when vaccine eligibility will be open to everyone. What still needs to happen in order to meet the April 15th goal? Plus, more schools across San Diego County are reopening for in-person learning, the top concern among parents in a new survey.
Missing toy army tank, if found, please return to 937 Olive Avenue.
And a Coronado police officer comes to the rescue after learning that little boy lost his favorite toy, and he wanted to call 911 for help. What the boy did instead to catch the officer's attention, and the happy ending that makes this story positively San Diego.
ABC 10 News at 5 starts now.
In just a matter of weeks, everyone across California will be eligible to get the COVID-19 vaccine. Good evening, I'm Lindsay Pena.
And I'm Steve Atkinson. Governor Gavin Newsom made that announcement just today. The decision comes after California was initially slow to roll out the vaccines. As our ABC 10 News reporter Jennifer Dela Cruz explains, this will all depend on the boost in vaccine supply.
The state of California doing away with a tiered system for vaccines.
Next Thursday, anyone 50 and over will be provided the opportunity to get a vaccine. On April 15th, everybody in the state of California 16 and over can get a vaccine.
While the move opens up eligibility, it doesn't change the ongoing battle of supply. Supervisor Nathan Fletcher says the county is expected to get a 15% increase in doses next week, but that's not even enough to meet the current need.
And so we're going to need to see some considerable increases in the number of vaccines we receive to really have a meaningful impact in the availability of San Diegans.
So far, 1.5 million doses have been administered in San Diego County. But because of short supply, the county is prioritizing second dose appointments and scheduling first doses after that. Their 27 vaccine sites aren't even operating at their full capacity because they don't have enough shots to give out.
We could have an increase 3 times the amount we're getting and still have plenty of capacity. And so the capacity really is not the problem.
Fletcher says while they're anticipating that 15% increase, they can't see much farther past that.
Well, we have to see. We're going to have to see really what comes in the week after that. It's just a little too early to say.
At the state level, the governor giving hope that more doses are on the way soon.
We'll be going from about 1.8 million doses a week to about 2.5 million doses in a number of weeks, and closer to 3 million as we move into May. We're not going to come back. We're going to come roaring back.
Jennifer Dela Cruz, ABC 10 News.
Patients with certain underlying conditions are already eligible to get the shot. Starting today, the governor says if those patients bring a family member with them to their appointment, they will be given a shot as well. Getting vaccinated is making a big difference in protecting healthcare workers during this pandemic. UC San Diego health researchers studied more than 36,000 California healthcare workers during the last surge. They found fewer than 1% tested positive after getting fully vaccinated. The study's leaders say that means the vaccine is very effective at protecting people from COVID. However, they also say that it's a reminder that it is not 100% effective and some vaccinated people will still get the virus.
Parents are more concerned about their children getting infected with COVID-19 at school than falling behind academically. That's from a new survey released today by the California Teachers Association. As ABC 10 News reporter Adam Rakusin explains, some parents are worried kids are heading back to the classroom too soon.
For many kids across California, their local school district is gearing up for some sort of return to the classroom.
We're very much on track for our April 12th opportunity to offer students at all grade levels the option, to come in for in-person learning.
According to a deal struck by lawmakers, school districts would receive financial incentives if they reopen for in-person learning by April 1st for their youngest students. Ahead of that time frame, the California Teachers Association released results of a new survey of California voters and parents on school reopening, painting a different picture from the rallies seen out front of schools calling for the return to in-person instruction.
The plurality position among both groups is that schools are opening at the right pace.
According to the CTA, the results show parents are still more concerned about their child getting infected than falling behind academically, and are evenly divided about whether they'll send their children back in person. The survey also showed voters and parents still put priority on keeping students as safe as possible, as opposed to getting them back in the classroom as soon as possible, and that most want at least some remote learning with a hybrid option as a center of gravity.
Well, I want to make sure that our school districts are going to do what we need to do in terms of safety measures and making sure that our classrooms are safe.
MARICELA VELASQUEZ is a mother of 4 and just one of the speakers who voiced concerns about the possible return to in-person learning.
I feel that things are moving too fast.
Matthew Schneck is a teacher at East Village High School in San Diego.
We want to ensure that when kids come into our rooms, they're going to be well cared for.
As the CTA released the results of the survey, Governor Gavin Newsom announced the vaccine will be available to everyone 16 and older starting April 15th. A spokesperson for the association had this to say about the announcement.
That's good news.
Adam Rakusin, ABC 10 News.
ABC 10 News reached out to the governor's office for a comment on the CTA survey results. We have not heard back. And to follow any developments surrounding the pandemic, download our free mobile app. Just go to the App Store and search 10 News.
A third person has now been arrested in the killing of a teenager earlier this month at a park in Chula Vista. 22-year-old Deontay Martinez surrendered today at Chula Vista Police Headquarters. Investigators say that there was a fight that night at Sunset View Park. They say that 2 of the suspects pulled out guns and opened fire. Police aren't naming the victim because he is underage. Martinez is now being booked into jail for homicide. And we have updates on that 13-year-old girl who went on a joyride, crashed and killed 2 homeless men in Escondido. Our ABC 10 News reporter Rena Nakano reveals her charges and dives into the legal ramifications.
A neighbor's security camera caught the moments that led to the death of 2 men sleeping on the streets, 51-year-old Sofio Sotelo Torres and 33-year-old Mateo Salvador. Escondido police investigators say it all began on the evening of February 12th. Police noticed a 13-year-old girl driving her friend in a white Ford Explorer. Officers attempted to make a traffic stop, but the girl drove off. On the corner of Ash Street and Mission Avenue, she lost control and plowed the SUV into the bushes, killing the 2 men. After the crash, the teenager was originally detained and released to her parents, but Thursday, Escondido police arrested the girl. She's now in juvenile hall on 2 counts of vehicular manslaughter and 1 count each of evading police causing injury or death, felony hit and run causing death or serious injury.
She was doing something really dangerous.
Attorney James Franz says her reckless act is inexcusable, but because of her age in California, she will not be tried as an adult. In February of this year, the state Supreme Court upheld a 2019 state law that doesn't allow prosecutors to charge minors under the age of 16 as adults.
Keeping her in the juvenile justice system is the appropriate thing to do.
As long as she is rehabilitated, the longest the teen will serve behind bars will be until her 25th birthday.
She should be given a chance to rehabilitate, to reflect on what she did, so she'll avoid ever making a mistake like that again.
Rita Nakano, ABC 10 News.
Sewer rates could be going up for people living in the city of San Diego. The city announced today it's looking to increase wastewater rates by 5% starting next January. And the city's Public Utilities Department, which maintains pipes and sewers, is proposing passing along regional water cost increases to customers. San Diego imports up to 90% of its water. The proposed increases must still be approved by the San Diego City Council. Amazon is set to pay $2 million to settle a lawsuit for misguiding consumers with its pricing. The complaint was filed last week by 5 county prosecutors, including San Diego County DA Summer Stephan. It alleged Amazon was confusing shoppers with its pricing language in its online advertisements, particularly the use of so-called was versus list pricing. A judge is now requiring Amazon to provide definitions to explain the 2 price options on its website. Turning now to weather, we're starting to see just a little bit of rain fall across San Diego County. It has been cold and windy all day. ABC 10 News meteorologist Angelica Campos is tracking those changes in our forecast. Hi, Angelica.
Hi, Lindsay. Yes, and it's still cold and windy out there. As we look at the current conditions, you can see a few showers moving into the county. But this is very light rainfall, so it's not going to be too problematic for anyone traveling this evening or even overnight, because the chance will continue all the way through tomorrow morning. And you can see here in the hourly breakdown how that chance goes up even into the early morning hours tomorrow, but it does get better by tomorrow afternoon. And as far as the winds, they'll be improving after 10 p.m. tonight. That is when the wind advisory will be ending. So far today, the windiest places have averaged between 40 to almost 70 miles per hour. Right now, 43 miles per hour in Boulevard West. Again, we expect the wind to stay strong into the evening, but we'll see some improvement by tomorrow afternoon. Coming up, I'll show you how much rain we can expect and also the warm-up heading our way this weekend.
All right, thanks, Angelica. The agency that runs the train tracks through North County say a Del Mar City Council member's idea of ending train service there isn't possible. Yesterday, Councilmember Dan Quirk told us he's questioning whether the coaster is worth keeping. That's because the cliffs under the tracks are unstable and rerouting will cost millions of dollars. However, today the North County Transit District told us because of federal law, they don't have the option of simply ending service. They also say eliminating the trains would not be in the best interest of the area's economy or environment.
From the pandemic to the migrant surge at the border and North Korea, numerous topics were covered today in President Biden's first White House news conference. ABC's MARICELA Parks has more on the key takeaways.
A hopeful but serious President Biden today said the nation is making real progress in the fight against the coronavirus.
Now today I'm setting a second goal, and that is we will, by my 100th day in office, have administered 200 million shots in people's arms.
Eager to sell his first major relief legislation, the president instead facing tough questions at his first press conference about the crisis at the southern border, whether his team is doing enough to house and care for migrant children, and if his own policies played a role. Biden pointed blame back at former President Trump.
Building back up the capacity that should have been maintained and built upon that Trump dismantled.
65 days into his administration, President Biden waited longer to hold a formal press conference than any of his recent predecessors in the last 100 years. His team has made a point, though, of holding daily press briefings and several press conferences on the pandemic itself. On matters of foreign policy, he was reserved, taking questions about next steps with North Korea after the country launched several ballistic missiles this week.
There will be responses if they choose to escalate. We will respond accordingly. But I'm also prepared for some form of diplomacy.
He did not hold back when asked about efforts led by Republican legislatures to change voting and election rules in states around the country.
What I'm worried about is how un-American this whole initiative is. It's sick. It's sick.
Now, passing any major piece of legislation will be extremely difficult for President Biden under current Senate rules. Today, he made it increasingly clear that he is open to changing those rules, though he said the filibuster has been abused in a gigantic way. Mary Alice Parks, ABC News, Washington.
And President Biden also addressed the question if he would seek re-election in 2024.
Oh, an answer is yes. My plan is to run for re-election. That's my expectation.
Biden also added he's, quote, a great respecter of fate. He said he's never been certain of what's in store for him, especially 4 years down the road. The president did say he fully expects to run again with Vice President Kamala Harris. At 78 years old, Biden is the oldest person to be elected to the White House.